In a forgotten village, where pain spoke louder than love, a little orphan boy carried a heart bigger than his suffering. When the world turned its back on him, he chose kindness. But what he didn't know was that hidden behind an old widow's wrinkled smile was a secret that would change his destiny forever. This is the story of Kofi and how a simple act of kindness turned a boy into a king. Kofi was just 10 years old when his world turned upside down. His parents, who loved him dearly, died mysteriously in a car crash on their way back from a family gathering. People in the village said it was an accident, but deep down, Kofi always felt there was something more, something darker that nobody was willing to talk about. His father's younger brother, Uncle Jaja, took him in, but not out of love. Uncle Jaja was a cruel man. He treated Kofi like a slave, making him work from dawn till dusk on the farm. While his own children wore good clothes and ate meat and rice, Kofi wore torn shirts and ate only scraps. He slept on the cold, cracked floor of the kitchen, while Uncle Jaja's family slept in soft beds. Many nights, Kofi would lie awake, staring into the darkness, his stomach rumbling with hunger, asking himself one question: did I do something wrong to deserve this? But no answer ever came, only the whistling sound of the cold nights, wind through the broken window. One dry afternoon, while running an errand to the village market, Kofi noticed an old woman struggling under the weight of a basket overflowing with vegetables. Her back was bent and her steps were slow. People passed her without a second glance. Some even laughed cruelly behind her back. Without thinking, Kofi ran to her. "Let me help you, Mama," he said kindly. The old widow looked at him with tired, grateful eyes and nodded. Her name was Mama Efua. She lived at the very edge of the village in a small, crumbling hut that looked like it would fall any day. Many villagers avoided her. Some whispered that she was a witch. Others said she brought bad luck. But Kofi didn't see a witch. He saw a lonely, tired woman who needed help. After that day, Kofi began visiting her regularly. Even though he was exhausted from Uncle Jaja's chores, he still found time. He would fetch water for her, clean her compound, and bring her whatever little he could find: a few oranges, some cassava roots, even wild berries he picked from the bush. Under the wide, ancient mango tree beside her hut, Mama Efua would tell him stories of kings who rose from nothing, stories of battles won not with swords, but with kindness and wisdom, stories about forgiveness and hope. Kofi would sit cross-legged on the dusty ground, listening, his heart slowly stitching itself back together with every word. But what Kofi didn't know was that Mama Efua was not just an old widow. She was an angel in disguise, sent to test the hearts of men. For 3 years, Kofi continued helping her faithfully, and during those years, he noticed something strange. Whenever he felt sick or hopeless, after spending just a few hours with Mama Efua, the weight in his chest would lift, his strength would return, his spirit would burn brighter. It was as if her presence healed him in ways no medicine ever could. But one rainy evening, everything changed. That day, Uncle Jaja was furious because Kofi had returned late from the market. Without asking questions, he beat Kofi with a heavy cane. The blows fell hard and mercilessly. Blood trickled down Kofi's back. Bruises bloomed across his arms and legs like dark flowers. That night, under the heavy rain, Kofi stumbled away from Uncle Jaja's house, his visions blurry. He walked blindly, soaked to the bone, until he reached Mama Efua's hut. He collapsed at her doorstep, unconscious. Mama Efua, despite her frail appearance, lifted him effortlessly and laid him on a mat inside her hut. She cleaned his wounds with herbs, sang old songs over him, and whispered powerful prayers as the storm raged outside. When Kofi finally opened his eyes, he found her sitting by his side, a soft smile on her lips. Tears filled Kofi's eyes. "Why do you care for me, Mama? I am nobody. Not even my own family wants me," he choked. Mama Efua gently touched his forehead. "My son," she said, "you are not nobody. You are chosen. You have a great destiny ahead of you. But first, you must survive the storm." That night, while Kofi slept peacefully, Mama Efua left her hut. She stood in the middle of the rain and spoke ancient words into the night air. Her voice carried on the wind, reaching the palace of the village king. In his dreams, the king saw dark visions of Uncle Jaja's cruelty and evil deeds. The next morning, the king summoned Uncle Jaja to the palace for questioning. Under the weight of fear and guilt, Uncle Jaja confessed everything. He had arranged the accident that killed Kofi's parents out of greed, hoping to claim his brother's farmland and wealth. He had treated Kofi not as family but as a burden. The entire village was stunned. As punishment, Uncle Jaja was stripped of all titles, his property seized, and he was banished from the land. The king announced that everything that once belonged to Kofi's father would now be restored to Kofi. The villagers, many of whom had turned a blind eye to Kofi's suffering, now looked at him with guilt and respect. But Mama Efua wasn't finished yet. She took Kofi aside and gave him a small, weathered wooden box. Inside was an old brass key, a faded letter from his parents, and a map. "This," she whispered, "is the true inheritance your parents left you, kept hidden from greedy eyes." The map led to a hidden piece of land near the wide river, untouched land rich in gold deposits, fertile for farming and full of possibilities. At just 15, Kofi didn't fully understand the weight of what he had been given, but he trusted Mama Efua with all his heart. With her guidance, he partnered with honest people. He hired loyal workers, built small mining businesses, invested in farming, and slowly his wealth grew. But Kofi didn't hoard his fortune. He built schools for children who once roamed the streets like he did. He opened hospitals so that no one would have to suffer untreated illness. He created jobs for hundreds, lifting families out of poverty. And he never stopped visiting the widow's hut. He would often sit under the mango tree, staring at the sunset, remembering the stories, the prayers, and the woman who believed in him when no one else did. One bright afternoon, as he prepared to travel to the city to receive a prestigious national award for his contributions to society, Kofi decided to visit Mama Efua. But when he arrived, her hut was empty. The compound was neat. The mango tree still whispered in the breeze, but Mama Efua was gone. On the dusty floor inside the hut, he found a folded piece of paper. He picked it up with trembling hands and read, "My dear Kofi, you have passed the test. You chose kindness when you had nothing. Now you will never lack again. I was sent to guide you, but my work here is done. Never forget, the greatest treasure is not gold, not land, but a pure and kind heart. Go and light the world, my son. Mama Efua." Tears poured freely down Kofi's cheeks. He pressed the note to his heart and looked up at the sky, whispering a prayer of gratitude. He finally understood the kindness he showed when he had nothing, the love he gave when he himself was broken. Those were the seeds that had grown into a life more blessed than he could have ever imagined. It wasn't magic. It wasn't luck. It was the powerful law of life. He who waters others will himself be watered. From that day forward, every time Kofi gave a speech, every time he donated to a cause, he would end with these words: there is always an angel behind the forgotten. Help someone, even when you are hurting. You never know, your breakthrough may be hidden in a simple act of kindness. And across the land, his story became a legend, inspiring countless souls to believe once more in the power of a good heart. In every tale whispered by the griots, there's a truth waiting to touch your soul. If this story moved you, remember, sometimes the smallest hearts hold the greatest power. Subscribe, share, and return, because the next story may just change the way you see the world.